Hi everyone, this is Ralph, and I wanted to show you the NoNo tree woods that I talked about in my other video. This is the actual NoNo tree. It is a very old, very large, triple cherry tree. That's probably 4 feet across at the base. Cherry trees don't normally do that. And for some reason, most of the Bigfoot sign that I have ever come across, when it's very large Bigfoot sign, like the size of that arch right there, it's probably 80 feet long, 70 feet long. And that tree just bent over a live tree. Most of the bigger structures that I find are near these very weird looking older trees. If you can find one that's bent over or anything like that. This happens to be a hardwood and white pine forest. What I want to show you, if I can get any kind of perspective on it for you, is right over here. All of these trees are 60 feet long, and that one's probably 150 feet long. And they're all leaned into the same spot. I just want to show you how old this break off is, and then follow this tree up. Something, put it between those two trees, and then over the top of that other tree that was pushed over. This tree here is alive, but it was pushed over and bent under that first tree. That first tree no way caught this and fell because it's 10 feet on the other side of it. This has no roots and was placed up under that one, where all these come in one spot up there. And the bent over tree and the other tree were on purposely put there to hold that first very long tree that was shoved over, and then that one there was picked up and shoved on top of that. A very old broken off tree. There's no way that oldest break right there ends up being on top. It just, that's very suspicious, and that shows me a Bigfoot. There, right there is that very large hoop. Right there is a NoNo tree. All of these really big structures are near those weird trees. There's another, and in here, in this woods here, there's none of that little tiny sticks against any of the trees in here. That's the woods behind my house, and that's why I believe that's a nursery for babies. I'm kind of trying to look for Bigfoot prints. Sometimes they scuff their feet in the needles, the pine needles, and it ends up being able to be seen for a while. But as you can see, there's none of that little sign in here of tiny little branches at all. This is all big, big, big stuff. Another thing, something or several somethings. close enough to this thing. Now, this is the bottom of the tree. The skinnier top of the tree is way down to the other end. This thing's got to be 60 or 70 feet long. Shoved in between those two trees is something, picked it up and shoved it in there. And the base of that tree is nowhere to be seen. It did not break from right here. It did not break off of any of the trees above it. And on this end, it's probably 18 inches across. And I would be willing to bet that that thing weighs probably 2 tons. That's up in the air about 9 feet, jammed between these two trees. And I don't know how much force that would take to actually pick that up enough to put it in between those two trees right there, so that it would stay up in the air. But I'm going to have to say that that was the whole clan making these large tree structures in here. There are a few of these larger things. I'm not sure if that was meant to be an X or not. But that was a live tree not too long ago, and then something went ahead and pushed that over against this tree. Takes a little bit of force. And then this one on top of it. But there's none of that small stuff that there is out by my house. This is definitely not a nursery. This is where the adults hang out. And up from here, I get away. This is the back half of that great big structure. From here, that looks like an X. But I'm not sure exactly if that was the purpose of the whole thing or not. Big X right there. Because the road is literally maybe 150 yards beyond that. And then there's a little sloping down that's maybe 250 yards down into the swamp. But from this angle, you can kind of see that that was not made to be, I don't think, was not made to be an X. All those trees are all just bent in and wound around each other in the wrong order of the age that they fell. And I'm not on a path here. The path is out there. I'm just walking around in the pine forest and I get weird things like that tree. The big tree could have fell by itself at some point. It's old, the roots are dead. It looks like maybe it fell by itself. But then this other stuff placed along the side of it comes up here. That was not broken off very long ago. And then right here, and then back on that side of it. And then this tree, the small end is on the bottom, The bigger end is here, and there's no stump or anything. And that's an ash tree, and the two trees closest to it are both very large white pines. In fact, everything around it is a white pine. That stick did not come from here. Just things that you see. Get over that one. There's another arch of one big, looks like ash probably, bent into the ground over there. But up from this is what I call the angry part of the NoNo woods. Like that's the big structure and the big weird tree down there. Like seems to me like that would be probably, now I'm back on the path, yay. That part seems to me like it would be the center of their actual area. Try not to make too long of a video here. They did log this woods off about 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago now. Great big blowdown. This was a monster tree. But there, right there is one. That one. There's no roots to that. It's just leaned up into a crotch right there. There's a bunch of lean trees. There's another bent tree. So we get up in here on my left-hand side over here, you start to see an angry part of the forest, like not near the pretty thing where the king of the woods made. You come over here, and this part I don't really like. This is pretty much why I call it the NoNo woods. It looks like the other ones have a tantrum. Excuse me. The other ones have a tantrum. Look at it. Bent over. Not just bent over, but cranked and half broken. Twisted around. Busted off. Leaned up against stuff. In here. That one right there is just ripped off of something from somewhere, dragged in here and put up against that. There's a great big dead one leaned up against that. In that crotch right there, there's the crotch. That one's actually attached, but then there's two great big logs in an X from the other perspective from over here. See, now you got a big X in there. But look at that one was bent over so that they could place this dead one on top of it. That's probably 9 feet in the air, just ripped, broke right there. Zoom back. It's in. Zoom back out here. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry, I broke a stick. I try not to do that. But all of these trees right here, all of them, are bent. And that's, the tallest one up there is probably 20, 25 feet. The one that's the best arch right there, that's probably 12 or 14 feet in the air. There's a good sized one where the small part is near the ground and the big part is way up in the air again. There's another arch. Now I'm pretty far up from the NoNo tree itself, but this little piece of the woods right here is like where the bigger males that are not the king come in here and just like angrily make structures. They mess this part of the woods up big time. And I know you're only getting the phone's perspective, and I'm swinging it around because I'm looking at the ground trying not to fall on my face. Okay, this is the right side of the path. That's not hooked to the ground. And that's leaned up through a crotch. And now I'm out on the path, which was an old logging road. I'm here during the day. I'm sorry, I'm kind of whispering. I just heard a rah. This part of the woods is spooky. I don't trust this part of the woods. And I'll go back in a little bit. I wanted to show you this, why I call it a NoNo. NoNo tree and NoNo woods. Alright. I defy you. There's a tree ripped out by the roots. And that thing is 70 or 80 feet long. Where the hell did it come from? And I realized maybe 12 years ago when they were logging in here, the logger truck may have done it. But there's less than 12-year-old break-offs. Right there's one. And not only is it broke off, but it's broke off to the left and the tree's on the right. That little tree's broken off. That tree's still alive, bent underneath it. That tree snapped in the middle. There's no way. Something brought this here and slammed it down. Or some things. I don't know where they got it from, but it's on top of everything else in here. And if it's 12 years old, it should look like, all the other ones in there, moldy to the ground and everything. It's not natural. That happened a lot less than 12 years ago. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. I keep saying things over and over. I'll try to do that less. There's another arch. But this is a very jumbled up, angry part of the woods. I don't like it. And here's another thing I don't like. Not that I don't like it, but there's another bent tree. Now Dee said something about there being like mounds or burial mounds or something in the woods. What the hell is that? It's 3.5 feet tall. Obvious mound. It wasn't bulldozed into a pile, it was piled up into a pile. There's a few of those through here. So I don't know if Bigfoot's bury their dead. I'm not sure. That's just a little spur down there. That goes down into a clearing, and then people go down there and have picnics or whatever. There's no actual picnic spot. This is kind of like raw footage and forest. Raw footage because I don't really edit, so. can edit it out to make bleeps if I swear too much. And then all of a sudden you get out of the angry part of the forest. There's no arches, no X's, nothing leaned against anything out here. Gonna go around nice and slow for you. All of that stuff that your wood eyes will tell you, hey, that's not really natural. All of that stuff, just all of a sudden you walk out of it and everything feels peaceful, but back there it does not. That's like scary during the daytime. And this is back where these big white pines are. If they're not white pines, please somebody tell me. I think they're white pines. White pines make that type of pine cones. I grew up near white pines, but they were not this tall. White pines tend to snap off in the wind, but these are really big. I bet that's 200 feet tall. All right. And if you look back down through the woods, I mean, that right there is the kind of trail that Dee likes to go on, because she has some space. They can't just reach out and grab you. But in order to get down into the white pines here, you have to get into some overgrown, really tight, close stuff, and that kind of stuff makes Dee nervous. So that's the NoNo woods. This other end has smaller, not very small like mine, but smaller things leaned. You know, like juveniles maybe, or the ones that they leave to make noises if somebody walks in, kind of thing. But no big obvious things like down by the NoNo tree. My very first video that I talked about them coming and sitting down, I was not down by the NoNo tree. I was actually, of course that's only like 200 yards down there. Hi, snake. Snake crawling through the grass. I was sitting right here. And something walked up from the road and sat down right there behind me, as I was sitting right here, facing this way, facing where I am now, watching Dee, because I had Dee's stuff propped up right there, and whatever it was watching Dee over my shoulder, and I refused to turn the light on or turn around. I turned the phone on, but I kept it focused on Dee. And when it stood up and walked away, I turned around, turned the light on. Didn't see anything, but I thanked it for coming. That was a very long, squeaky tree, like, but these are very tall trees, and I wouldn't doubt that some of them are touching each other. It's a little bit breezy, but it didn't seem like a little bit of breeze should make that loud of a noise. Anyway, there's my walk through the woods, and like I can show you, there's this part of the woods, there's none of that small little sticks leaned up against everything. I still think that the woods behind my house are a nursery. Keep the babies away from the big boys, especially the angry big boys. Way up by the entrance up here. So this kind of stuff doesn't Doesn't spook me. Not afraid to die, number one, but I would hate for him to walk out and rip my arm off. And I do live in New York, so there's reasons why you would not walk through the woods if I find some things for you. There's poison ivy and poison oak literally everywhere. You got to wear shoes and long pants walking through the woods, or the blackberry bushes and the poison ivy, poison oak will tear you up. Not too far away from the entrance now. Try to walk a little faster so I can show you a little bit. I'm looking on both sides here. The phone's just pointed forward, but there's still no little sticks yet. Oh, can you hear the car? Right out there. I'm only about 100 yards from the road now. Watch, you'll see a car go by. There you go. Now you start to see a little more stuff. I'm going to, what the hell kind of bush is that thing? Whatever it is, I'm not touching it. I know that's poison ivy. All right. Sneak through the poison ivy. All right. Now, once you get into the entrance part of this woods, there are there's some